It's another episode of Tea Time with Twaambo. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening every week, and thank you so much for sharing the episode with your friends. And for those that have subscribed, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate that you're coming on this journey with me, and I hope that you are getting clear so you can move forward just as I am. I really enjoy sharing, my life stories with you and sharing with you what I've learned. And I find that, a lot of these episodes resonate with people because, yes, the vulnerability is, being shared, and you know what I'm going through, and you're going through some of these things and you're learning just like I'm learning. So I really appreciate you being here. Today I want to talk about something that I realized the other day, that there have been times in my life, well, not just one time or two times, but many times in my life where I have been self-reliant simply just to hide a wound. I'll elaborate. So you know how, you've tried to depend on other people, and you have depended on other people for things, but they've let you down, and you kind of promise yourself that you're never ever going to rely on anybody else again because all people do is let you down. And what do? You fill yourself up with pride because you're the only one that can, get the work done really well, and you become self-reliant. You even become toxically self-reliant. And this self-reliance comes with pride. And when I became, prideful and self-reliant, I really believed that I was the only one that can do a particular thing. And that meant that I didn't get help from people, and I didn't want to ask for help, so I knew better. And now we have the World Wide Web. It's very easy to just Google something and find the answer and keep going. But eventually I realized that this self-reliance was actually really toxic. It was affecting my relationships with my friends and my family because nobody could tell me anything. And I was becoming a person that wasn't very nice to be around. It also meant that I wasn't asking the right questions. I wasn't asking creative questions. Therefore, I wasn't finding the right answers because I wouldn't want to be vulnerable enough, and I wouldn't put my pride aside to ask somebody else for help. Why? Because they would see that I didn't know anything about a particular subject, and I was worried about what they would think of me, and that they would think that I was stupid or dumb. And yeah, because I want everybody to think that I'm a superhero and I know everything. Well, you know what happens to people when they think they know everything. Nobody wants to be around them, right? So, how did I get over this self-reliance? First of all, I had to be aware that people around me did not like the person that I had become. I was losing my friendships, and my relationships were no longer clear. I could not be vulnerable with people, and that hurt because I always had to be strong and I always had to know the answer. The second thing is I had to swallow my pride. I don't know everything, and even though everything is on the internet, not all the information that is online is good for your particular situation. And when you ask people, what they did in a particular situation, when they share, you're able to share in their experience and learn from their experience. And you can take their advice or not, but this sharing of the experience makes you and your friend or you and your family members closer. And that's what life is about, being closer to your family and your friends. So I had to be vulnerable again, and I had to put my pride aside and not be so self-reliant. I'm still a self-reliant person, but I'm not toxically self-reliant, and I think that there's a difference between the two. And so with this episode, I just wanted to ask you, in what ways are you being so self-reliant that you're shutting people out of your life? So self-reliant that you're not vulnerable anymore, and you've got this tough exterior, and the only reason that you're being that way is you want to hide how you've been wounded. I get that people have wounded you. I get that you don't want to be wounded again. I get that you will never be caught slipping, sister, and that you're just going to be tough, and you've got all your answers on YouTube and nobody can tell you nothing. It's a little bit lonely though, Miss Know-It-All. And it was a little bit lonely for me. So I put aside my pride and I asked for help. And nobody will look down on you if you put your pride aside and ask for help and open up and be vulnerable. So I just want to remind you with this episode, check your self-reliance. Are you really self-reliant because you can do something and it's good to be self-reliant? Or are you self-reliant in a toxic way where you're shutting everybody out because somebody 15 years ago hurt you and you have decided you will never let anybody in again? Think about it. This has been another epic episode of Tea Time with Twaambo. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to follow on Instagram, Tea Time with Twaambo. Don't forget to visit the blog, www.trulytwaambo.com, and share the episode and subscribe. Thank you so much for visiting yet again. I'm still stumbling over my words. I don't know why. I think it's because it's late in the evening. But thank you so much for joining. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.